welcome to episode 38 of Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host, and today is Sunday, July 12th, 2026. Today's segments will include works in progress, finished objects, knit-alongs, more out than in, my patterns, and gardening. First, I'd like to thank all my returning viewers. Thank you very much for coming back, and thank you for checking out the podcast to all the new viewers. I hope you will come back and join us again. You can find me on Ravelry, Facebook, and Patreon as Knitting Needles and Stems. My Ravelry username is Kabammer. Okay, so what's new? I did have my further test that they needed to get in order to get my appendix removed. So I'm one step closer to finally getting my appendix out. A couple funny things while I was in there getting ready to go have the procedure done. One of the nurses, I was working on a pair of socks, and one of the nurses says, well, my mother-in-law likes to do that stuff. And she said she even has her own sheep. So she got me the information for her mother-in-law's Etsy store. She has a place in Clayton, Wisconsin, which is in the state that I live in. And I'll put a link down below to her Etsy store. It's Diane's Dream Fiber Farm. So she has some wool and a little bit of yarn there that she has listed for sale. So that's really exciting. And then when the anesthesiologist came in and saw me knitting on the sock, he said, is it still called knitting when it's at such a fine gauge? Hilarious, right? So I said yes, that it's still called knitting. And he proceeded to tell me that the last thing that he knit was during COVID when he made one of those big, chunky arm blankets that you don't even use needles for. You just use your hands and knit these big giant blankets. And he said it turned out to be such a big blanket that it's really hard to use because it's really heavy. So that was some fun stuff that happened during my procedure. That is not always a fun procedure to have done. The next step will be to have a CT and then get that appendix out. So I'm pretty excited to go ahead and get that over with. All right, let's jump in to works in progress. The first thing that I worked on is my Mira River Wrap by Tammy Canavan Soldat. For this one, I'm using a giant cone of some cobweb weight yarn that I had received in a swap, and I don't know what the wool content is. I kind of think it's just acrylic, but I don't know if you can see. There's it's mostly brown, but it has flecks of red, and it's just, I like the color. And this is going to be a really lightweight scarf. The beads that I'm using are from Fire Mountain Gems. I really like their beads. And for these, I can't use the crochet hook method to put them on, so I use Super Floss to put them on. And it grows barely every time I do it. I did 2 beaded rows this time, so there's 2 rows there that I did. It's still not very long. I'll probably keep going till I run out of beads, and that'll be how long this will be, unless it gets super duper long and I'm still have a lot of beads left. So again, that is the Mira River Wrap by Tammy Canavan Soldat, using beads from Fire Mountain Gems. The next thing that I worked on, and I actually worked on these a lot, is my Ultimate Lounging Shorts by the Cumbrian Knitter. For these, I'm using Haiku, Kobasi, DK, and Indigo. The Kobasi is a cotton bamboo silk blend. And these are my shorts. I'm actually working on the hem now. So she had a couple ways that you could finish it. She said that you could make an I-cord and to make a hole in the front for the I-cord to go through, or you could put elastic in them. So I'm going to do an I-cord, but I'm going to make 2 holes in the front, and then I'll have my 3-inch hem, which is just a 2x2 rib. My 3-inch rib hem will be folded over around the I-cord. So the I-cord will be enclosed inside the hem. So I'm going to go 7 rows in the 2x2, and then I'm going to make 2 holes in the front for the 2 ends of the I-cord to come out. And then I'll do 6 more rows, probably a row of purl to make the folding edge a little more crisp. And then it'll all get sewn together on the inside to make a double hem there. So I'm really happy. I'm excited that maybe I'll get to wear these before summer's over. And they're just for pajamas. And my decreases were pretty extreme on the front here. I probably, if I made these again, because this was more of a recipe for shorts than a real pattern for shorts. You do your own measurements, which is great. You know, you want stuff to be made to your measurements, but the instructions were pretty loose. So all the decreases were in 2 spots in the front between the hips and the waist, and I needed a lot of decreases, so I was decreasing almost every row. And if I did it again, I would spread them out probably around the circumference of the shorts. But I think that it'll be okay. There might be a little hump there, but like I said, they're just going to be pajamas, so if there's a little hump there, everything will be fine, unless they're really uncomfortable to wear. So these are Ultimate Lounging Shorts by the Cumbrian Knitter, using Haiku Kobasi in the indigo colorway. Next, I worked on my Coziest Memory by Kemper. This is a mitered square blanket. And I put 1 square on it every Saturday, so you guys are going to hear about this for a long time. And I got 2 squares put on it. So this is the one that was on there last time. And I got this blue one, and this purple and green, and a little bit of tan gradient, or striping. The plan for this blanket is it's going to be a long-term project because I'm only doing 1 square a week, unless I feel like doing more that week. And I need 2 more squares to finish this second row. But the plan for the yarn is to use my most recent finished fingering weight yarn first. And then I had several leftover balls that were my leftovers, and I picked up some leftovers from the Yarniacs knitting retreat on the weekend of the 19th of June. So I have a lot of leftovers that I can use, and in between I will be putting my leftover fingering in there first before using more leftovers. So again, this is the Coziest Memory by Kemper. The next thing that I worked on, and I'm getting pretty close to the end on this one, is my Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray. For this one, I'm using 100 Ravens Yaksha in the Starry Night colorway. And I'm getting really close to the end with just the Starry Night colorway, so I might not need my Apollo, but we will see. You can see it goes from this nice deep purple down through a gray and then to this beautiful yellow, which I'm going to have enough of these gold beads that are also from Fire Mountain Gems. I'm going to have enough of these. My plan was to switch to the purple beads when I got to the yellow section, but since I'm going to have enough of the gold for the whole poncho, I think I'm going to just stick with the gold all the way through. So you can kind of see the lace. You can't really see the lace. It's all bunched. But there's a nice lace pattern that runs through here with the beads. And I'm almost to the edging. I think I just have one more diamond lace repeat. You can see the diamond lace repeat here. I think I have one more of those repeats, and then I'll get to start on the edge. So again, that is Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray, using 100 Ravens Yaksha and Starry Night, and beads from Fire Mountain Gems. Okay, the next thing that I worked on are my Fish Lips Kiss Heel socks by Socks Therapist. For these, I'm using Knit Picks Sock Dye Blank, which is the Knit Pick Stroll fingering that I dyed myself to look like flowers. So I'll put a picture of it right here. That's what the sock blank looked like when I started. I've got one sock almost all the way done. I'm doing a 3x1 rib on the leg because it would be just a little bit too snug if I didn't have any ribbing there to add a little bit more. And I like for my leg to be as long as my foot, so you can see I'm getting pretty close. Just a couple inches left and I will have sock 1 done. And then I will be able to start on the leg of sock 2. So here they are together. The colors look really great, I think, and I'm up to the red. I think there's one more color of flower in there after the red that I probably won't be able to get to because I won't have any more sock to make. So my blanket on my square on my blanket might actually look different than my socks. So again, this is the Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist, and they're just vanilla socks with a 3x1 rib for the leg. All right, the next thing that I'm worked on is also a Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist. And for these, I'm using Wool Addicts by Lang Yarns Footprints in the colorway 1115. And these are being made one at a time because I only had one set of needles. So I got one sock completely done. So here's the first sock. You can see the subtle stripes there. Got the Fish Lips Kiss Heel here. And I got through the heel of the second sock. This is actually the sock that I was working on when the anesthesiologist asked me if it was still knitting at that fine of the gauge. But they're coming along. This is the yarn that I got at the 2025 Yarniacs retreat at the yarn store in Racine, Wisconsin. And I'm really happy with how they're turning out. Again, that is the Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist using Wool Addicts by Lang Yarns Footprints in the colorway 1115. Okay, the next thing that I worked on is Gentle Drizzle by Emily Kintai. This is from the Operation Sock Drawer book by the Knitmore Girls. I got a whole pattern repeat on my second foot of my second sock. The first sock, the foot's already done. So it's about 2.5 repeats of the pattern that I do for the foot. And then I'll do the Fish Lips Kiss Heel because that's my favorite heel. And then I'll do the legs, which will have the pattern going all the way around. Here they just have it on the top. These are for my colors of fall for the knit along in the Yarniacs group, and I'm really happy with how they're turning out. Eventually I'm going to make my way all the way through the Operation Sock Drawer book, and I'm getting there one pair at a time. That's about all we can do, right? So again, for these I'm using Greenwood Fiberworks Simply Sock in the aqua colorway, which is this nice blue. It's a little lighter than what it looks like on the camera, but it's a nice blue. So again, this is Gentle Drizzle by Emily Kintai from the Operation Sock Drawer book by the Knitmore Girls, using Greenwood Fiberworks Simply Sock in Aqua. The next thing that I worked on is Baby Bear in PJ by Stana D. Sorter. This is my bear for the month of July, and I use just random leftovers for my bears. And this, I have so much black, so many black leftovers. It's patriotic bears for America's 250th birthday. So I decided all my bears are gonna have black pants because I need to use up all this black instead of just using it for the eyes and nose and mouth when I finish the bears. So this is how far I got. 2 legs. I have blue and white here to make a shirt that's gonna be like the stars on the flag for the United States. And yeah, so that should be done soon. Monday is my day to work on bears, so tomorrow I'll be working on this little bear, and hopefully I'll get him done or close to done while I'm watching TV tomorrow night. Again, that is Baby Bear in PJ. Mine is not going to be wearing PJs, by Stana D. Sorter. And the last thing that I worked on is Jane Marple Dishcloth by Kitchen Sink Shop. And for this one, I'm using Nitpicks Dishy in the Lilac Mist colorway. And I barely have any of it done, but you can see it has these nice leaf patterns on it. It's a lace dishcloth that is just a fun little dishcloth. I like using handmade dishcloths. I think that they scrub the dishes better than store-bought dishcloths. And so that's just what I do. Again, this is Jane Marple Dishcloth by the Kitchen Sink Shop, using Nitpicks Dishy in the Lilac Mist colorway. Okay, let's move on to finished objects. The first thing that I finished is not here with me because I've mailed them to my aunt in California because her birthday is on July 4th, and I thought that she would really like them. They are the Patriotic Star Coasters here. And for these, I used what I had left of my Biscotti Yarns Bis sock in the colorway 190708. I used every single bit of that yarn up. I did put a square in my blanket first before I made the coasters. And I had to actually add a little bit of a scrap red that I had to one of them to make it work. So yeah, again, that is Patriotic Star Coasters by Carried from Fleece. That's me. And I sent them to my aunt for her birthday. The next thing that I finished is my Advent 2025 hat. I didn't use a pattern for this because I wanted to use up every single bit of the yarn that I got from my 2025 Lolo Did It. The little Lolo original, the 2025 Advent colorway. So I started at the top and I did increases in ribbing. There's the top there. And I kept going in 2x2 rib until I used up all of the yarn. I had the little tiniest bit left after I sewed in the ends. So this is a gigantic hat. You would never wear it like this. Well, I would never wear it like this. But you could wear it like this. You can fold it up once. You can fold it up twice. Or you can wear it really however you want. I plan on wearing it, probably fold it up twice in the winter because winters in Wisconsin can get really cold. And you can also tuck it inside, tuck the long ends inside, and then it'll be double thick all the way up except for the very top at the crown. And it just looks like cute little hat. So it's the leftovers from my Corey in for Advent poncho. I used every single bit of the yarn, and it felt really good to get that done and out of my stash. Again, and I'm calling it my Advent 2025 hat, and I used Lolo Did It, Lil Lolo Original in the 2025 Advent colorway. And the last thing that I finished is a little baby hat. This is the one I was working on last time using helical knitting, and I think it turned out really cute. I really like helical knitting and how it makes the little thin stripes. I just kept adding new yarns as I got to the end of one of the colors, and it turned out really good. It does need washed. I haven't washed it yet, but it's a little wonky because it needs washed. But just a little baby hat. I cast on 80 stitches, knit and 10 rows of 1x1 rib, and then just knit until it's long enough to be a baby hat. And then I just Kitchener the top together, or graft the top together. So that's that. Okay, let's move on to knit-alongs. The first knit-along that I participate in is in the Project a Month COFKAL group. And for the month of July, we are doing Celebrate Your Country. Because it is America's 250th birthday, I made the patriotic star coasters. They were done a little bit early for that knit along, but I shared them in the group anyway, and that was really fun. Whatever country you're in, or whatever country you feel like celebrating, you can come over and make something to celebrate your country and share it in the group, and we will all ooh and ah over it, because that's always the best part of sharing your projects with other knitters, is the oohing and ahhing, the appreciativeness of people who get it. So celebrate your country in the Project a Month COFKAL group. The next knit along that I'm participating in is in the Yarniacs podcast group, and it is the COFKAL, the Colors of Fall CAL, and it's called a CAL as a knit along, but you can do any kind of crafting that you want for this one. It runs from June 21st to September 22nd, 2026, and there's a lot of palettes for the Colors of Fall that you want to find yarn that match that color, even if you have to squint to see it. So pretty much anything goes, because there's so many colors in those palettes. And all that they ask to enter is to do a styled photo. So however you're going to wear the item, they want you to share a photo of that. So that's the Yarniacs podcast Colors of Fall knit along. Runs from June 21st to September 22nd, 2026. And the next knit along that I participate in is in the Downseller Studio podcast group, and I am a sponsor for the Splashed Pad Party 2026. So if you make one of my patterns during this event, then you get extra points. So this one runs from May 22nd to July 31st, 2026. And whips are eligible, so whatever you finish within this time frame can count towards points for the grand prize drawings. Another knit along that I'm participating in is the Crazy Sock Lady podcast group. It is her Summer Sock Camp 2026, and it runs from May 25th to August 31st, 2026. And again, whips are eligible, so any socks that you finish within that time frame can count for prizes in that one too. And all of these are on Ravelry. Some of them have Instagram hashtags that they use. I do not do that much on Instagram, so I don't have those to share with you, sorry. But okay, the next one that I participate in, it's summer. There's a lot of knit alongs. It's in the Knitting in the Loft group, and it is our Summer Challenge 2026. Short rows, structural, and decorative. And this one runs from June 19th to September 1st, 2026. And we are learning about short rows. And there's tutorials that are shared. There are a lot of short row designers that their names have been shared, and you can click and see their short row patterns. And we play fun games that I'm in charge of. So if you don't like the games, tell me, and I'll try to come up with some new games next year. But we play games for prizes in that group as well. Then there is the Craft Cook Read Repeat podcast group, and they are doing their Bingo 2026. It runs from May 25th to September 7th of 2026. And I've had a lot of squares. I've already got my first bingo. Okay, for crafting, since last time I recorded, I craft or create something inspired by America. My star coasters were definitely inspired by America. Craft something colorful. My Advent 2025 hat was colorful. It had all those wonderful colors from my 2025 Advent set. For cooking, cook for sharing, I made some pecan shortbread cookies. Cook a menu of fun appetizers. This one was so fun because the kids helped, my husband helped. It was just so great. We had cheese curds, mini tacos, french fries, fruit salad, and s'mores dip. Oh my gosh, that s'mores dip was so amazing and so easy. You just put chocolate in the bottom of a pan, put some marshmallows on top of that, and stick it in the oven. And then you dip graham crackers in it. So amazing. Anyway, and cook a heritage American recipe. We made some fry bread tacos. That's an indigenous recipe from the Native Americans, usually the Navajo. This specific recipe that I used, it was Navajo fry bread, so can't get much more heritage than that, right? And then read something that will make you laugh. I read Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and that book, I mean, it's a fantasy book. I'm not usually into fantasy, but it was funny. It was funny and serious and mysterious, and I didn't expect it to come out the way that it did, but apparently there's a lot more in these series, so I'll probably end up having to read all of them. And read aloud. My daughter and I read a devotion every single morning. I read out loud to her, and then we do the prayer together, and we finished our devotion book. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 more squares that I got. There's only 7 more that I need to get my blackout, and then I will be good with my second entry for bingo. Let's move on to more out than in. The June totals are in. For June, I sent out of my stash 1,791 yards. That was in my 3-in-1 sweater and my Broken Jack socks. And I brought in only 874 yards from the yarn store in Racine. So my year-to-date totals are 8,335 yards sent out and 4,656 yards brought in. I do have Wisconsin Sheep and Wool coming up at the beginning of September, so we'll see what happens then, but I have a pretty good buffer for before then to keep having more out than in for the year. Let's move on to my patterns. I sell patterns on Ravelry as carried from fleece. And my new shawl pattern, the tech editing is done. I'm waiting for my current test to be done so that I can put that one into testing. My pencil gnome is almost done testing. The last tester is actually done with the gnome, and she just has to fill out the questionnaire, and then that will be done and ready to be released. So look for that coming soon. And then the star coasters, I did the patriotic star coasters. I published them on July 1st, and because I thought that it would be great to help people celebrate Independence Day, the 250th birthday of the United States. And I ran a little coupon code for that, and that went over pretty well. So the link is down below for the pattern if you're interested. And let's move on to gardening. For gardening today, I'm braving the hot sun. It is about 90 degrees out here today and not very pleasant. But I wanted to show you, I'm transitioning my plants, my indoor plants, to outside. And I wanted to just show you the shelf that my husband brought from his shop. Here's this nice shelf. We do have quite a bit of sun here right now. And my aloe, I think I need to find a way to get some shade for the aloe. It looks like it's getting a little bit warm there. And there's my lily. I think she needs some water being out here in the hot. So plants always need a little bit more water when they're outside in the hot sun. But this is my outdoor shelf. My orchid is actually blooming again. I have my strawberries, they stay out here. And then my hummingbird feeders. We've had up to 9 hummingbirds on these things this year, so that's exciting. Well, that's all I have for you today. So until next time, keep doing what you love. Bye.